Yeah,
Good.
let's go. Let's talk about Japan. You lived in Japan, right?
I did live in
Yeah.
Japan.
How long ago was that?
That was a while ago. I got cast there as an actor for Universal Studios in 2014.
2014.
And then till 2016, I worked there.
Oh, that's cool. So did you learn any Japanese?
I had my show that I had to do. It was all in Japanese. So.
Oh, cool. Can you introduce yourself in Japanese?
No, I can say Motoru do itararo, which means I'll be back.
Oh,
I was playing Terminator over there. So
cool. Yeah.
So it was a nice experience.
Did you live in Tokyo or
No, Osaka.
Osaka.
So
is that north or south?
It's south. I took a bullet train to Tokyo once, and it was like, I don't know, 2-3 hours. So it's quite a while.
Okay. And what about people? Are you like super tall compared to them?
Oh, yeah. It's funny when you walk in a busy street over there, there's like the shopping center, like center Osaka, even though it's packed full, you can just see clearly.
Yeah.
Straight. And you kind of make yourself as a sightseeing over there as you're so much bigger than everyone else. But
my ex-brother-in-law, when we went to Mexico with him, he traveled with us when the kid. He is like 190 something, so super tall. Yeah. And when we were walking downtown my home city, Toluca, everybody was looking at him like if he was a god from like from Valhalla or something like that. That because he's blonde, super tall, like wide back and all that. So people were stopping him to take pictures with him. And I since I've been living here, have gotten used to the size of people here that to me is like super normal. I'm an average kind of guy, but in Mexico I used to be like tall. So when I was there and I was seeing him next to my mother or my aunts or the regular people, I was like, fuck, he's a giant, and handsome, So he was really being hit on and all that stuff. Did that happen to you? Like
no. I didn't notice people in Mexico are that short.
Yeah, most of them, especially in the center of the country where I'm from, they are short. If you go to the north, then you start seeing like taller Mexicans, big Mexicans. With Mexicans, the thing is that if they are tall, they are also like overweight, so they are like mountains, and they eat. You have to see them eating, like it's like crazy. Yeah. But from where I'm from, especially on my mother's side, everyone is like super short. Yeah.
We had some giants working for the company while I was there. Like I was standing next to them, and I'm just about 190 tall. My head was at the same height as their nipples.
No, oh my
God! They were. I've never seen people that big. Yeah. When I shook their hands, I just shook their finger because the hands were like gigantic.
Yeah. How tall are you?
190.
190, and you were to their nips.
Up to their nipple, And so seeing them walk around in center Osaka, that was...
They could just pick people like that. Pretty impressive.
But I mean, they couldn't fit in anything. Like all the height of the rooms or everything was just too small.
Yeah, I bet.
They tried to go to the metro and they're just hunched down. And
yeah, definitely. Now, I also got used to the way buildings are here in Finland because the ceiling is way taller.
Yeah.
If I go back to Mexico, then that's something I notice immediately. I'm like, oh my God, this is what's the phobia? That's when you are in a closed place.
Like claustrophobia.
Yeah. I immediately start feeling that. It's just completely different. Yeah. And I want to go to Japan. I have a friend living there. Yeah. But then going back to what you were doing there. So you were playing Terminator for 2 years. Terminator
for 2 years. And it was a show that was written by James Cameron that continues after Terminator 2. Mm-hmm. That was written like, what happens after Terminator 2? But it was written as a stage show.
And it was performed in Japanese.
In Japanese, course, yeah. So the show starts with me riding a motorcycle on the stage and grabbing John Connor with me. And
Japanese John Connor?
Yeah.
Also
Japanese John Connor.
Oh, okay. Well, but that could work, like an anime character. Yeah.
And then there's animated section, so it turns into a movie that the people are watching, and then it continues as a stage show. So it's like a 3-part show.
Oh, cool.
And
do you know if it's still?
I think they canned it a couple of years ago. Japan was the last, because Universal Studios has a lot of theme parks around the world, and Japan was the last one to have that show.
Okay.
And because it's it's old, and the people coming to the parks might not be so familiar with the
definitely.
Terminator franchise.
Imagine that. That makes me feel old, because to me it's like it was yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. But I have kids who's born 10, 15 years ago, and it's like this ancient history for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think my kids know all of that, because I've shown them the movie. And actually, when I played that movie to them, it is still entertaining for the TikTok brains they have, And also Conan the Barbarian. I played that to them, and RoboCop, But then I was watching RoboCop with them. One of them is 10, the other one is 6, and I was like, how old was I when my dad took me to the movies? So I was around 5 years old when that happened, and I was thinking, like, I have a memory of my father arguing with the manager in the cinema just to let me get in. So he got me in, and I remember vividly when he was being like massacred with the guns, like when he was killed, Alex, and then this guy that was bathed, is that a verb, with acid, and he's like, oh, help! I remember that like vividly.
I remember when. I don't remember when it came out, but I remember my parents saying, like, oh, this is the most brutal, violent film we've ever seen. You're not allowed to watch it. And, as a kid, of course, you secretly go watch it. But
also around that time, I watched Evil Dead, and I remember hiding behind the sofa, like just look at it. And I remember the melting faces and all that. Now it looks like cartoonish, but back then it was like, what is this?
Dude, I think the movies from the 80s and 90s, they're some of the best.
And also because imagine now you can access to whatever you want. But back then you had to watch what was shown on TV.
Exactly.
And it was just the curated in a bad way, maybe. And they were showing just like the friendliest shows. So when you had access to this stuff that you've never seen, and especially being Mexican, we have all these myths and about ghosts and monsters and witches and all that. And then you see a movie that's showing you that. And then you're a kid, with no experience on the reality. Is like, what is this, So it can be awesome and I remember the feeling of seeing RoboCop walking for the first time, and the sound like when he's coming behind the glass, and you see him first like that, and then the reaction of the police officers, and then you see him like all shiny and all that. It's like, wow, a robot, really nice. And then the actor, he was amazing. The movements he was doing, it was great. And then at home, all dark, watching the Evil Dead for the first time, and the noises, and then every single noise in your home becomes like a how do you call it, like a threat or like a threat. It was pretty cool.
What's Evil Dead, the one where the guy replaces his hand with a chainsaw?
No, that came later, I think, because the first one, it's he and his friends. Well, to be honest, I don't quite remember. But I should watch them. Watch them. What about you as a Finn? Because I know that you don't have all those. What's the name of it? Superstitions. I mean, your mother didn't believe in witchcraft like for real.
Yeah.
Because mine did. When my dad decided to have an affair, they found this small pin, that, and it had like some lipstick behind it. So they assumed that was witchcraft, and that's why my dad was cheating on my mom, because he was being like the victim of this witchcraft work and all that stuff, But now I know that it's because he needed to whatever, right? So, and then I think that's very Mexican.
Yeah.
But I think that Finns, they don't have that in their...
No, I don't think there's many superstitional beliefs. I can't think of any right now.
So that must make the enjoyment of this kind of movies completely different. Because to me, they felt like something finally I'm seeing what my parents have told me, you know.
Yeah, no, for me it was like pure entertainment. There was no, I mean, Finland in itself isn't a very religious country, and I think if you're a religious country, you might have more superstitions and you might believe in more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But when the religion isn't shown in your daily life, you don't start believing in ghosts suddenly, or of course there's people who do believe in ghosts and they believe in other superstitional stuff, but I think those are not that common anymore.
Yeah. So you don't have that memory of you and do you have siblings, by the way?
Yes.
Do you have a memory of you and your siblings being scared of the dark or something like that?
I don't. I had this toy when I was a kid that was like this creepy hand that was glowing in the dark, and I remember being super scared of that because it was placed like on top of my closet.
Oh god!
So it looked like some creepy monsters coming from there, but no,
definitely
no. Only like I do think I've seen a ghost though, which is
really
Tell
me about it.
I was living in Italy and I was walking my dog at night. Dogs need to shit at night, so go for a walk. And I walked this nearby street, and there was this old woman in the dark, but she was completely gray, and it was like glowing gray.
Okay.
And it was an old woman. And my dog just stopped and stared, and all his hair went up. And then it was like, okay, let's turn to the other street.
Yeah,
I don't want to come across
that. Where in Italy did
it was northern Italy, close to Milano.
Okay.
Yeah.
So an old street, old town.
Old town, very old town with population of under 1,000.
Oh my God. So beautiful, I guess.
It was beautiful, but yeah. And then the next night, I walked my dog on the same street. I see that glowing old woman again.
Again? So you've seen the same ghost twice?
Twice, on the same spot. And then I asked my ex, like, who is this woman, on the street? She's always there at this time of the night. Like, she was there yesterday, she was there today. And she was like, there's no one, because she was from the village. And I was like, there's no one living on this street or around here that matches that description. There's no old people living in this street. And I know everyone who visits here. There's no one visiting.
That's just super weird. What do you do with it? Like, what's your explanation? Or do you think it was a ghost?
I don't know. Like, the Finnish meme says that it was not a ghost, but who knows, man?
Yeah.
It would be cool if it was a ghost, though. Love.
I just don't want to believe that those exist,
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, I do want them to exist with a very nice scientific explanation. So everything changes, but I know they're not real. But I also had experiences.
Yeah,
I think the most vivid I had with my siblings, it was my sister and my brother and I. We were at the table, we were eating, and then all of a sudden these that looked like one of those lightings, like the smaller version of it, just like one of these lights, just like passed. Above the three of us.
Yeah.
We were like, did you see that? Yes, of course I did. And what was it? I don't know. Yeah. So I think, the fact that the three of us have the same memory makes it real. So it happened. What was it? I don't know, some physical phenomena that expressed with electricity on the air. And thanks God it happened in the air, not in my brain but it was impressive. Ghosts, I don't know. I've been scared in the dark because of superstition, but I haven't been lucky enough to see ghosts,
Yeah, I think it's stronger if you don't believe in ghosts and you see one. Like, for me, it felt like so strong. But I think if you're the kind of person who believes that ghosts exist and they're everywhere, you tend to see them more. You try to imagine things. You hear a twig move or you see some wind blowing somewhere. It's like, oh, that was a ghost, but in reality it was just the wind.
Yeah, or hallucination. I like in Corona times, I spent a lot of time just watching conferences about how the brain works and all that. And I remember this guy talking about the Charles Bonnet effect. It says that people that has lost the vision, they continue to see. but they don't report these visions because they are afraid that they are going to be labeled as crazy, right? But it's just because of that part of the brain that processed all the light that comes through your eyes is still alive, healthy. It's just your eyes that are damaged. So sometimes it activates and it generates these images, and it's going to be something that you've seen, never something that you've didn't have contact with before, but it's always like a cartoon or a house or people, and it can also happen even if you have the healthy vision. You can have these kind of bursts of activity in that region of your brain, and then you see something. And then it can also happen with the other senses. You can feel that someone touched you, but it's just like the brain having that super I don't want to call it like short circuit, but just something that happens with your brain, because we are not perfect. We are a biological machine, and sometimes it has like those kind of glitches, and then you have no explanation. You don't have this explanation, so you give it like, oh, it happened externally. It wasn't me, it was external. And the fact that it happens in your brain makes it feel more real, because it's happening with the tool you use to interact with reality, right?
There is this thing with the brain that it blocks out certain like nerve signals, like your nerves twitch all the time, but your brain is used to blocking it out, because otherwise you'd be like, But nowadays with the phones that we have, we carry them in the pocket, we get the phantom vibrations. Like you feel like, oh, there's my phone's vibrating in your pocket, you check it and it's not. It's just your nerve sending an error signal, and your brain has stopped blocking that signal because it's now associated with the phone.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's wild, man.
And I would definitely just use this explanation and make it more adapted to another aspects, psychological even, like sometimes this sadness or depression comes to me, like I really feel like crying, and then I'm like, hey, wait, there's no reason. This is just coming for free. So no reason yet. So ignore it. Let it pass, because this is painful. I'm just gonna check out that this. Yeah, it is.
We're good.
Yeah. And and it can happen with everything. With especially because the brain is not perfect. And then on top of that, we have all these cognitive dissonances and these errors that our logic does naturally that have served humans to stay alive in nature, but nowadays it makes it they confuse you when you make decisions and all that stuff, especially talking about superstition stuff. So as a Mexican, this knowledge helped me because nowadays I'm not scared of the dark anymore, for example, because I know that that's an instant, right? And I want to share that with the world, like, hey, be free from that. That's just keeping you from enjoying your life, But this can get philosophical really fast. I need some water. Let me go get it. Do you need?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Nice.
But it's wild. It's wild how these superstitions, no matter which culture you go to and interact with, they share similar superstitions, like the ghosts or dragons for some reason, or stuff like that, which is, it's weird to me, like how no matter where in the world you are, you still might believe in the same stuff, and you're not, like the cultures might have never even mixed before.
The explanation I give to that is that we are human, and even though we are in different parts of the world, our brains are similar enough to read it in a similar way. So we are all afraid of spiders and snakes, right? So that's universal, I guess. So when you come up with a villain or with a monster, it has to look somehow like that, even if your culture has never found that other culture in the other side of the world, you are going to come up with similar stories just because we are human, right? That's my explanation. And then how are we certain that those cultures don't have some ancient knowledge that they share? Because we are all supposed to be descendants of the same group of people at some point. So they might have this vision and these stories that just remained there and evolved when they were moving around the globe, But I also get entertained with all these stories of, these other conspiracy explanations. They are very entertaining,
dude,
and I
love
enjoy
them.
them.
I love them too.
Course.
It's I love the stories or conspiracy or something that dragons actually existed, because they're everywhere in the mythologies around the world, which is it's funny to imagine, but
they did exist in a while. I mean, imagine you don't know anything about dinosaurs and then you find a fossil.
Yeah.
Then you're
that
like,
way, exactly.
Then dragons, of course, what else? Or when you find a skeleton of deformity, a human with that deformity, like a bigger head, or like something weird, you have no explanation. Oh, monsters, of course. I would definitely, without the knowledge that I have, I would have like a superstitious mind, because that's natural. I remember this guy, his name is Andy Thompson, and he has this book, like, Why Do We Believe in Gods? Or why do we have religion? I don't remember. And he put together different disciplines that are like producing knowledge, and then he put them together to explain why human brains have this tendency to believe in the supernatural and be superstitious, and it's all because of our capacity of imagination and the way we can have an inner conversation and imagine what the other people are. This conversation others are having. So this capacity mixed with the primate instincts and affections and all that gives birth to these supernatural beliefs, I'm going to talk to my grandmother right away, and then I can do it in my head, and I can even listen to her, and or when you're dreaming, that's exactly what your brain is doing. But even though I accept this as an explanation for this stuff, I don't try to convince anyone of it, because it's so personal that, for example, my mother, even though I tell her about this in a better way than I could do in English, because in Spanish it's easier, she seems to understand. But 2 weeks later, she's back into the believing system, And I'm like, so there's no need for her to change. It works. So it's perfect. It's just for me to help me have a better life, I guess,
Yeah, I guess.
But it's scary, because when you get in trouble, then I'm like, fuck, I wish God would be there so I can ask him, like, please, God, help me with this, It is what it is.
But it's strange how people resort to God, even non-religious people, when something really goes to shit. You're like, I'll give this a shot. Maybe that'll work.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's fine. That's fine.
Have you prayed to God?
Yes.
And
not to. I wouldn't say it's like a specific religious God, but just higher being.
Because it feels like that. And that feeling is what he tries to explain. Like, you can imagine it, and then he is like, you learned when you were a kid that you could rely on someone that's bigger, more intelligent, resourceful, and all that. So you have that. You've trained for that your whole life. So when you become an adult and then you cannot go to your parents, then you have that need. And then you put it in something that's not there,
And it helps to gather your thoughts. Like, even if you don't believe there's something up there, personally, I don't really believe that there is something. But if you just talk out your thoughts, you might find the solution you're actually looking for. It opens this path in your brain that you might not realize that, the solution is this after you voice it out.
Perspective. That helps quite a lot. I have also experience in that. And then there is this philosophy that helps me, because now when I learned that there is no God, then I was just like, I felt like I was being abandoned in the middle of the sea during a storm, like, oh my God. Then how can I feel better? And then I found something that comes naturally for some of us, because I was feeling like, okay, then it's just me. And then I know that I'm a primate, so I have the tendency to be emotional, and so I need to bring those emotions down. And then I found stoicism. which is exactly that, control yourself, just do the best within the space that you have, that you under your control, because everything else is chaos, basically. And that helps me. It makes me feel that I have some strength to attach to, like, okay, so I have no control over what's going on there, but I'm going to do my best right here, right now. For example, with this actress that we were talking about, okay, she's chaotic. She wants to make changes. I'm going to go with it because I don't want to fight with anybody. This is not the place, not the time to have a discussion about this. So she wants to try that. Let's try it. But I'm going to try anyways to get my list done, And then you make decisions. But I don't want to be angry. I don't want to have an argument with anybody. I'm just here to have fun and make a film.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest life lessons I've learned over the years is like, you want to treat other people like you want to be treated as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, there's no point of arguing with someone about it, or just getting mad at someone, or being rude, or just acting like an asshole in general. This serves no one good.
Definitely.
You'll just end up causing more harm than good.
Yeah.
And you won't get the result you want.
Definitely.
And with every fight, it's the root cause is that you disagree with some central issue, and you have a different way of solving that problem than the other person. So arguing about it makes no sense.
Yeah.
But you should together just focus on the problem that is in front of you and find a common solution for it.
Yeah. So, and something else that I don't know why they don't teach you this. Well, I know because I come from the past, from a country that was teaching their kids to become workers. So they don't care. They didn't care. They didn't even know this kind of vision about psychology and all that existed. So it's okay. I accept that. But then when I discovered that we don't have the same intelligence, right? No, we don't have the same skills when it comes like, I don't know how to dance, but I know how to read people in a room. For example, I know if someone is sad or angry all the day immediately, or I think at least I think I know. And then when I discovered this, that we are all different, I was like, okay, so that's why I had problems with these kind of people, and I have a problem with these other kind of people and all that. And they weren't aware of these differences. So that's why they wanted me, like without any other choice, to behave like they wanted to behave, because they didn't know that I was different. It's like, what the fuck? And I remember I'm talking about the IQ. I know that it's controversial. But it gives an idea of how logical and mathematical your brain is, right? And how you tend to solve problems. And then I remember these other tests to get into universities and all that. That proves that you have knowledge about certain topics that make you that part of group that can study that stuff, But then there is people that don't pass the exams, that get low IQ tests because they don't have the training or the habit to solve those problems. And then I remember interacting with these people, and I remember feeling different, like not only physically, because in Mexico I'm taller and maybe my skin is not as dark, but then also the cultural knowledge, the music we were listening to, the sports we were watching and all that. I always felt different. But then when I understood like, oh my God, so it's because we were different, I'm not. This can be misunderstood as being racist or classist and all that. No, it's just an ignorant guy acknowledging that we have differences because of the opportunities we had in life, right?
Oh yeah, your background makes a big difference in who you are. And like personally, I don't believe that, especially the IQ tests that people do online or on paper, that they're a good indication of the intelligence of that person, because those are just based on what you've learned and studied beforehand. So these concepts that are used in certain IQ tests might be completely foreign for someone, while for someone else, they come across them every day. So of course, those two groups of people will perform differently.
Definitely.
But it doesn't mean that one group is smarter than the other or vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult context, and I think it's very controversial subject to go like these people have low IQ, these are high IQ, because in the end it really matters on the test that's being done.
And it's controversial because some people really take it seriously and make decisions on other people's lives with it.
Yeah.
Right. And then they or they put themselves in a position of higher I don't know, self-perception, I don't know, and then they start discriminating other people because they think they understand, but they really don't understand, right? Yeah. So I think the saying is like they know enough to think they know, but not enough to not know what they don't know or something.
I mean, I think it's human nature. You're just trying to find a way to elevate yourself above others.
Yeah.
So whether it's an IQ test or whether it's how much money you have in your bank account or what kind of painting you can do compared to others or whatever it is, you always try to up yourself against other people.
Yeah. To me, that sounds weird because when I was a kid, I was in a social system in my family that you had to put yourself under other people. So I learned to not make myself shine or to always care about what the other guy was thinking, make him feel better and all that stuff. Is it?
Am I framed?
What was?
Am I in the frame?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, good.
And and then I think that's why I like Finns, because they don't play the star, they even though they are good, they don't have that kind of pride.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain level of shyness in Finnish people. It's you don't wanna be the gleaming star among others. You just wanna blend in.
Yeah.
For me, it's a bit strange because I moved back to Finland just 2 years ago, and for the past 10 years I've lived outside of Finland.
Where were you, in Italy?
I was in Italy, and before that I was in Sweden, and before that UK and Dubai and Japan and stuff like that. So I've come across a lot of different cultures through my travels, and then I decided to move back to Finland, and it was a culture shock even for me coming back of how reserved people here are. How when you're at the bus stop, you need to have that 3 meter space between each other, or how for some reason Finnish people like to queue up for everything.
Or order, I have my place here and everything is going to be fair.
Yeah.
And I do like that.
Yeah.
It's just that in Mexico they are used to be abusive sometimes because they have been abused.
Yeah.
So it's about who's gonna win, and I don't care. I actually remember these sayings. Not all Mexicans are like this, but it's part of the culture. The saying that what's best, that your mother is crying at your house or my mother is crying at my house, meaning that I better kill you than you kill me, but they are involving the family. This is a bad translation. I should make a better one.
This sounds very toxic.
Yeah, fucking is. It fucking is. And you learned that since you're a kid. Oh. That's why I was feeling bullied. And even though I was taller and stronger, that family that I had, that you have to put others like before you.
Yeah.
And then the bullies at my school were like, fuck, I could punch on the face, but I can't. And it was weird. But I had a good childhood anyways. But you get used to it, how to deal with people. You have to learn how to read them to kind of manipulate the situation. Maybe not them, but the situation, I remember changing my words, even my intonation to sound like them, like mirror them, and then put me like a little bit lower in the hierarchy so they don't see me as a threat or something like that, which is a skill that I like having, but I wonder how it feels to be just you, and I can see here kids, they just are like kids, and there is bullying. It's part of being human, but I think it's more physical and more psychologically oppressive in Mexico.
I don't know how it is nowadays, because with the TikToks and stuff like that, like pardon me, cyberbullying is very, very common in Finland as well.
Definitely, it has to be.
So people...
That's something that I have no idea how it works. It should be mostly online.
Yeah.
Especially if you have the...
Yeah. At least when we were kids, if you were being bullied at school, the bullying stopped when you left the school. But for kids nowadays, if bullying continues in the school, you go home, your phone blows up, your social media blows up with the same bullying messages. So it must be very, very tough for the kids.
Someone could be filming you
Yeah.
when you're doing something dumb and then put it online.
Oh, yeah.
And then send you the link and then all the comments. That must be horrible.
Yeah. Yes. I feel bad for the kids nowadays that everything's being filmed and photographed and in weird places. I don't know what it reminded me of. The situation. Should I talk about it? Yeah, in a public pool here in Finland, this friend of mine, foreigner. I'm not gonna say his nationality, so 'cause that would make it easier to identify. So he has daughters, and he was telling me that he was at the pool with them, and then these other immigrants from a completely different side of the world came and took a picture of them when they were actually naked and playing in the dressing room. And then he was like, "What are you doing?" You know, like, "Oh, they are so cute." Like, yeah, but don't take pictures of them. Yeah.
They are kids, girls, and they are naked. So don't do it. Show me your phone. I want to see that you're right. And, oh, no, sorry. And I was like, it's so easy just to take a picture of an image of a person in a bad situation and then use it like to blackmail them. You know?
Yeah.
Especially with kids, that's so sensitive. Yeah. And then they did eventually erase the pictures and all that. And I don't know if my friend just, if I was him, I would be in touch with the manager and tell him, you know, these two guys took pictures of my kids when they were naked, you know, in the dressing room. And then, you know, just to have them banned from the place, you know. Yeah. That
just sounds like a fucking crime.
To me, it definitely is, you know. I mean, we are professionals of imaging, you know. Yeah. We carry cameras, we know how to do it, and we know the power they have.
Yeah, exactly.
We would never do that because we know it can be, not only because we know it's a crime, it's morally wrong, you know. I mean, if you want to check them out in your brain and not tell anyone, you are free to do so.
Yeah.
You know, you can be as perfect as you want.
Yeah.
But the moment that you act on others in reality, that shouldn't be allowed.
No. It's especially anytime you take photos of strangers or not just little kids, but even if you're on the street and someone comes into your photo, you should be a bit hesitant.
On the situation,
yeah, of course. But
of course, if you are on their face, you know.
Because I see these creepy street photographers who are like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a street photographer," and they get to like this close to you, and take a picture.
I remember I was watching a video of one of them, and back in the 80s and 90s, and he was carrying the flashlight and the camera, so he would walk like very discreetly, and then when the interesting subject was approaching, he would be like, "Come." And then, of course, the situation would look cool because the natural reaction of the other people, they already look interesting. The New York is behind, and then, you know, I was like, well, I wouldn't dare to do that because someone is going to punch me on the face, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I feel bad about doing
it. It's just like, it's not respecting the other person at all.
Yeah. But I understand that that's exactly what makes it better because it has like a natural response, like the gestures and the force in the picture and everything is going to look better.
Yeah.
But then you don't say that you're doing it like a creep, you know, like a not creep, but in a creepy way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it just seems off to me that.
Now, going back to the filming, and let's put it together with this weird stuff. Have you watched this movie, Pink Flamingos? Pink Flamingo?
I have not.
Or this other movie, Caligula, I think is the name. I'm mentioning these movies because they are shocking.
Yeah.
They have characters, situations, and stories that are quite non-common. They are not for Netflix. They are made just to art. They are art and shocking. I remember this Pink Flamingos, this main character, transvestite. Yeah. He is eating dog shit. Like, and the actor did it
No.
So so you can see him like not acting, just reacting to what he's doing. And then I'm like, okay, I'm a filmmaker. What would be the point of doing something like that?
Yeah, I mean, if you want a real reaction from the actor, and you're a psychopath enough, you'll make them do that. And if the actor is willing to do it, then sure. But it just sounds off. Like when I've made short films and whatnot, sometimes I have good actors, sometimes I have not so good actors. I use these methods that were made famous by Turkka. He's a theater director, or used to be in Finland, and he was very physical. Turkka, yeah. And he believed that through physical exercise and whatnot, you kind of lose the acting aspect of acting, and you become more naturalistic in acting and just delivering the lines. So I had this one movie I was shooting where I had this character who's played, and she wasn't necessarily the best actress there is. So I told her, like, when you come to set tomorrow, just take your running shoes with you. And I didn't say why. I'll just take your running shoes. And I was like, the next day came, and I was like, okay, let's go through the lines with you. And she said the lines, and I was not happy with. I did it, and I was like, okay, put the running shoes on. And we went for a run. We ran 4 kilometers together. While she, 4, just to make her exhausted. And after we're done that, I called the set, like, okay, put the set ready. We're going to start filming right now after we come back from the run. We went to the set, and she nailed it. She killed it because she was so exhausted that she wasn't thinking about acting anymore, but she was just performing. She was giving the lines as they should be. And eating dog shit is kind of similar, because you're not acting as you're disgusted, but you're actually disgusted.
Yeah, so, God damn it. I need to watch that film again. Yeah. It was like 20 years ago when I watched it.
Yeah.
I was younger and I wanted to watch something shocking, But now I want to see it through a different lens. But yeah, that makes sense, because I'm remembering how it feels being tired after a good run session. Then your muscles are relaxed.
Yeah.
You're emotionally more perceptive and expression.
Yeah, exactly. And
you
your
can
brain
express
is relaxed.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about, I am going to act. You're just going to deliver the lines, and they seem more naturalistic that way when you do it like that.
Yeah, definitely. Because you already got rid of all that tension. You know? And that to me seems quite a good way to do it. And then the trick would be to learn to recognize the mental state, be very aware of it, and then learn how to get there without the running.
Exactly.
Exactly. I'm telling you this because I used to smoke weed a lot, like in 2010 with my friend in Oulu. I was living there, so we had like this huge batch, and the whole year we were just like pretty much every day. So at some point I was like, you know what? I think I don't need this anymore because I remember how it feels. So, and now my imagination and all that, I can just see things from a different way, just because I learned, by using the weed. And I don't smoke anymore. I should. Well, I don't know. But anyways, you can learn how to be in a different mental state if you really pay attention to what's going on, in your mind. So, and I don't know if most people are aware of this, that you can learn this. Yeah. Sometimes you do it unconsciously. Maybe that's why there's people that are used to being sad all the time, because that's the only mental state they know and recognize their identity to. But they are monkeys as us, so they can also be happy for whatever reason. Then they have to recognize that mental state too. In my case, I used to be really not depressed, but I was sad most of the time in 2009. But then I learned that you can change it, Even by smiling, it's gonna force some from outside. It's gonna force some change to your insides, and it works. And nowadays, I get blamed that I'm too happy sometimes. Like, hey, no, don't be so positive. We need to be serious. I'm serious, but I don't want to be sad,
One of the problems I've come across as an actor and performing a lot is I want to make like these mental notebooks of my feelings. So whenever I'm sad or angry or happy, I kind of open this mental notebook and I just write down of like, how is my body? How is my face? Where is that emotion coming in? It kind of ruins all the emotions you're having because everything stops being pure because you start studying every single emotion you have in order to use them in the future.
Understanding it can kind of ruins it, but not completely.
No.
Because I trust the fact that we are animals, and we cannot escape from that animal part.
Yeah.
So whenever something real happens, you're gonna react.
Oh yeah, of course.
Even though you understand it, you anyways are gonna cry, or be.
Yeah, you
happy.
will cry and whatnot, but when you're crying, you're also taking these like mental notes of like, how is it? Like save this feeling to use it later for your work.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up, but
I think it's great being that aware. It's great. And so you're an actor, writer, director.
Yes.
And what's the biggest there? Like
actor is like, that's the main passion for me.
Acting.
Right now I got cast as the lead role for one theater production.
What's the meaning of lead role?
Lead role.
Lead role. Oh, okay.
The main guy.
Okay.
Which I'm doing.
Jesus Christ, or
what? Huh? No, I'm not going to be crucified.
Even though I want to.
Yeah, it's like I was offering my poems, but but no. So I'm working on that right now, and then I also make these short films. I write them and direct them, and it's a fun way of trying something new. You have a crazy idea. You read one of my scripts where a guy diarrhea's all over a child in the gym, which unfortunately didn't get made yet, but maybe it should.
Yet. Yeah, of course. And what's the worst part of being a director, for example?
Hectic. It's very hectic. It's trying to get everything to work together. Like at the end, it's you who's holding all the strings together, especially on a small set. You have so many different things to focus on that it might burn you out. And you also, at the same time, when you're doing everything, you want to keep everyone happy, because with these short films, no one's getting paid. Everyone's there from their free will. So you need to be conscious of that too. And you need to respect people's time. And so it's very busy. Very, very busy. But it is rewarding after you've done everything and you see the final product. Yeah. But up until that point, you don't feel any of the rewards. You just feel the stress and
definitely
and all that. And writing is also nice. Like I really love writing, and it gives you a way to escape to another world. When I write, I kind of write what I see in my mind. So I'm just like watching a movie inside my head, and I'm just writing out what happens in that movie. So it's like the idea, like it feels like the universe just gives you a film, and you just write it out.
Cool. Do you just vomit it, or you are like taking care of the format and all to make it very understandable for other people? Or
it's a bit of a mix and match. I have the beginning of an outline first, like put out, and then let's say act 1 is pretty much like set, like bullet points of like this happens now, this happens now, this happens now. And after that, it's just word poop, vomiting, whatever comes out, and the story will take you wherever it wants to go. Like when I start writing, I have no idea how the film's going to end. And after that is done, I will break the whole script down into bullet points of like, this happens now, act 2, this happens, and pretty much every scene is broke down. And then I look at that breakdown. It's like if there's inconsistencies, if there's plot holes, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what needs to be removed or what needs to be added in order to make the whole story concise.
And what's the genre that comes to you naturally when you're writing?
I am a bit of a comedic writer. I love writing comedy, but also like very serious, heavy dramas type of stuff is good. I wrote one horror film, which ended up being comedic, just because that's the type of writer I am.
Close.
Yeah. Horror and comedy are very tough genres to write, and they usually go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to do pure horror without some comedic elements.
Yeah, definitely. I remember I was scared. Okay, so we watched the trailer of this Nosferatu like months ago with my girlfriend, and then we planned to see it because I was impressed by it. It was really nice, and to me at least. And then we couldn't go watch it till a week ago. So on my Mexican Facebook, the people were posting memes already. So I found out that it was going to have a mustache. And I was like, no, I didn't want to find out this way. I wanted to see it, but okay. And then one day I was just doing something on the kitchen, cooking or something. And then I just started laughing like crazy because I imagined myself at the movies. And then this Nosferatu guy, the Orlok, appeared with the mustache. And I was going to be like, fuck, I'm going to laugh when I see him. And so when I went to the movies, I was scared that when I saw him, I was going to just start laughing, because I'm fucking mustache. But the thing is that it didn't happen. It was presented in a way that it was slowly acknowledged and in a dramatic scene. So it was good, And I hated it at the beginning. Now I kind of like it, with the explanation that that's how men used to look back then in that region of the planet. I was like, okay, cool. I buy that one. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, but they are close, close.
They're so close, even though they seem so very different, but they kind of hit the same nerves.
Because it's pretty much the same formula,
Yeah.
You the setup.
Yeah.
Then you have like this dip in the attention because it gets serious, and then you surprise.
Yeah.
One of the surprises scares you, and the other surprise makes you laugh. Like
Exactly.
Unexpected, but that's comedy. I haven't dared to even dream about writing comedy.
Yeah.
Even though I sometimes make people laugh with my stupidity, but it comes naturally. I don't think about it. The joke just appears in my mouth. But sitting down and trying to write something seems like impossible to me. Like, oh my God, what am I going to talk?
Yeah, I think with comedy, you just need to let it flow. You can't think too much when you're writing. And 90% of the stuff you write will be garbage.
Yeah.
It won't be funny to anyone. But you only need that 10%.
Yeah. Yeah. The one that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also I admire the guys that can, they just step back, see what's going on, politics or movie scene or whatever. And then they start just because they point to the truth and they say it, you laugh. Oh my God, that's true. Talking, but you have to know how to set it and then deliver the true statement, so to make it fun.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it in the right way, you're going to hurt sensibilities, and you can be seen as a criticizer instead of a comedian being criticizing, And but it's difficult. I should try.
Yeah, they say comedy is one of the most difficult genres to write for.
Definitely.
I feel like drama is the easiest. You have pretty much the same backstory for every single drama movie there is. Someone falls in love with someone, or couple used to be in love, and then something happens, and in the end they get back together, and that's the movie.
I don't know, when you were saying that, I was thinking like, but nobody has made a drama of having I don't know why I was thinking about these kids in India that are like deformed, like, and then you are their parents, and then you have to take care of them and get help because you don't have enough money. That's another super heavy drama. And I don't think people want to watch it because it would be just like...
No, because movie needs to be entertaining to a degree.
And you need to identify with the guy.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds more like a documentary type of
definitely.
thing.
Yeah.
I feel like every movie you do needs to have an aspect of entertainment
Definitely.
to it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it seems to be very crucial to make movies that have a message. You need to have a strong message. I like the idea of having a message, but I don't see it as crucial as entertaining the audience. Like, if your message is more important than the entertainment, then your movie most likely won't be.
Now that I'm thinking about it, all the movies I liked from the 90s and 80s have a message.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that the writers and directors sat down thinking about that message.
No, the message
It was
finds
them,
its way.
know?
Yeah.
So they belong to these generations and these trains of thoughts.
Yeah.
And they just delivered what they wanted. They didn't. They weren't like, now I want all kids to become these macho guys that need muscles. No. They were like, oh, this is awesome. It looks cool. It sells toys. Let's make this movie, And nowadays it's more like, we want more black people, more Chinese and more Mexican in this Avengers team, And then that's boring. To me, seeing the superheroes, the white superheroes I grew up admiring, becoming something else is like that's not the character I liked. If you want Mexicans to be represented in the superhero thing, make a Mexican superhero. Why do they have to replace someone that existed before?
To be honest, I don't really care about that. Like, for me, it doesn't change anything if you change a fictional character's skin color or ethnicity. It doesn't take away anything from the character and necessarily doesn't add anything to the character. In the end, it's, especially with these big movie studios, and you have to do these castings, which is good in some aspects. It's about selling a product. That's with big movies, it's all about money. If you put in $100 million for the movie, you want at least $200 million back. And it seems to be a very viable solution to recast some characters that we've used to see in our childhood as different characters. It kind of makes me laugh how mad people got that. Was it Ariel? It got cast differently with a different ethnicity. I couldn't care less. What's the ethnicity of a mermaid? Like, it doesn't matter to me at all, and I think it's great, and I love seeing people get mad at it because it just
the thing that would bother me would be that they are not trying to deliver newer, better stories. Okay, make a mermaid movie, but make it new. Why do you have to bring that one back?
There's no new stories nowadays. And if you look at Marvel movies, they're all the same movie. Marvel fans gonna get really pissed at me for saying it, but every single Marvel movie is the same movie.
It is,
It's like, introduce a superhero, there is a villain that is the opposite powers of that superhero, they clash, and that superhero has some love interest who's a human.
And some jokes sprinkle.
And that's it. And then in the end, the superhero either kills the villain or the villain mysteriously survives. That's going to come on the episode 2.
Like, you see the hand.
Yeah, exactly. And saga continues, and now there's like 50 Marvel movies.
They could be actually interesting because they are, if you go back to the comics, they are interesting. They have interesting stories. But studio that needs to make money, and make it good for the kids. But to be honest, my kids couldn't care less.
No.
So they should make them those movies for us that care about those characters, that grew up with them. But going back to, or how would you introduce yourself then, as an actor or director, or the three of them?
I would say I'm an actor first.
An actor first. What do you think of terms like creator or filmmaker?
It's kind of a catch-all. If you run a small operation where you do everything, you film and edit and direct, and write and whatever, then yes, you're a filmmaker or a creator.
Yeah.
But when you look at the wider industry, you kind of focus on one thing.
The thing I don't like about filmmaker and creator is that you're like, it sounds like YouTube.
Yeah.
You know? If I just say like I'm a director, then I only direct. Oh my God, it's like what word should I say? You know?
I associate with filmmaker as people who do lesser budget stuff and who might do more corporate stuff and like shooting interviews or stuff like that. Not necessarily shooting $100 million productions. That then you're a director.
Would you like to shoot those productions? $100 million?
I'd like to act in them. But
what kind of role would you like to play?
I have been typecast often as this big muscular character who kicks people's ass. I'd be willing to do that, but I kind of want to break that stereotype and to show that there is actually emotions in this person. Just like play a regular dude who just happens to be a bit bigger than the average dude. Then I would love that.
Yeah.
The genre doesn't really matter to me, as the work as an actor is the same regardless of the genre. So any genre, but it would be cool as shit to do like an action film though. Like
being the main character.
Yeah. Just kick ass and, shoot guns but then do like some very serious drama as well.
What kind of story would be in that action movie? So it's action now, like sci-fi, like robots and all that stuff, or just like war?
Well, there's this one script that I am right now pushing to production crews, or I can't tell much about, but it's very like historical Viking stuff. And when I pitch it to the production companies and whatnot, part of my pitch is like, if you take this movie, I'll play the lead. Kind of like what Stallone did with Rocky.
What would be the name of your character if Stallone was Rocky and then
it's just Samuel.
Yeah. But were there Vikings called Samuel?
No, but it's not really a Viking movie. I can send you the script later if you want to read it, but I can't publicly disclose much about it.
But the name would be Samuel.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I'm hoping to get that part pushed out.
Who's the other guy that made himself? I don't know the whole story.
I mean, the guys who did the Good Will Hunting. My God, I'm so bad at names.
This guy Toretto from Fast and Furious. What's his name? Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
He also made his own first movie.
Yeah.
It's not that bad when I watched it. Kind of boring and slow. Yeah. But it was well shot.
I mean, in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of actors who wrote their first films. And that's how they got really big.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to bring that element back.
Yeah. With different strategies because of how it works nowadays. But I totally do believe that if you want to make it nowadays, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And surround yourself with people that are talented and have the same goal. I want to be a director. Okay, so direct me because I want to be an actor, and I want to be a DP. And we want to be the best. Yeah. And okay, let's try to produce this, and then we need to promote this. Oh, fuck promoters. We are going to do it ourselves because we don't want to pay them like thousands of euros or whatever. Anyways, they are going to use the same tools. They are going to go with the same companies and all that stuff. Yeah. So I'm in that train of thought. The thing that gets me like kind of stuck right now is that I need to pay bills. So I cannot invest that much time on what I want to do. And the other one is that writing. I also want to write, and that fucking shit is a challenge, dude. And especially because when I start like pulling the fiber on it, it's like coming, and I'm so obsessive that I'm not gonna stop till I know everything before I start writing, and that's stupid as fuck. I already finished like the first draft of a script, but I hate it. It's stupid, slow. It's just I need to make it better. Because I want it to feel for you when you read it as I feel it and see it here. You know, like, oh my God, this is magical and transcendental and all that stuff.
But usually when we write, we're very critical of the end result. So it's important to give that script for someone else to read and get comments on it.
Yeah.
And
or details like I don't explain well who is doing what and all that, because I remember when you read that script about the mom and the IT pojk or something like that, you told me like, oh, I thought like till the very end when it's revealed that it was a kid, I thought that it was a cat, and I was like, yeah, that's my fault. I didn't explain that it was a kid, so it was a cat, which was also a good spin on the character, that it was a pet instead of a kid. But yeah, so those details make me feel that, not stupid, but that I need to learn how to put this idea in your brain in an easier way, not assume that it's easy to understand. But anyways, and what about, is there still battery? Yeah, cool. It's about to die. Oh, no. Well, when they die, we stop. So before they die, could you please introduce yourself like in the best way? So I put that in the beginning.
I am Timo Kervinen. I'm a professional actor. Traveled around the world, acting in all kinds of things, such as in Universal Studios, theme parks, feature films, and right now I am in Finland, and I shoot, direct, and write short films, and also act in theater. That's me. Also, I'm an economist. If that,
what?
I'm an economist.
Oh, economist.
I have a degree in financial mathematics. So that's a bit of a spin to it.
Definitely.
I've never used my degree, so one of those things.
We should definitely try to make this work.
Yeah.
Because we agree that we have to do it ourselves, pretty much, Yeah. And there are I had a conversation with directors, writers, filmmakers. They make corporate videos and all that from Clutch Productions, brothers, Emil, Arthur Salin, and that's their name. And then they were also saying that nowadays everything is awesome, and that's why everything sucks.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't worry about the if it's going to be good or bad. We should just make it because we are artists. It's an art. You learn about yourself through it when you're making all that stuff. Yes. And then also I know that we can build an audience, I'm sure in the world there is going to be someone interested in this duo of Finn and Mexican that want to make films. Oh, I want to watch it because I like that guy and I hate the other one, or I like both, and then I want to see what they can come up with, horror and comedy. What kind of horror and comedy can a Finn make?
Exactly.
Because there is. I watched these films in short films in Yle, I think it is. The name of it is Helsinki Massacre, Mansplaining Massacre, or something like that. So it's like an Evil Dead with a feminist point of view. So the feminist is escaping a house full of mansplaining men. It was fun, and it had the all the ingredients to make it like a Hollywood horror film. I was like, wow. So why the fuck Finns are not big in the world? Like, is it distribution? Maybe the Netflix is not buying the Finnish movies, or
I think it is part of that. What I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but for example, if Netflix wants to buy a movie, of course it buys a movie because it wants subscriptions for its platform. And if it buys a Finnish movie, everyone in Finland already has Netflix.
Yeah.
And so for them to get a Finnish movie to market Netflix within Finland doesn't make much sense because everyone's already using it because our TV here is shit. And Finnish movies don't have high enough budgets in order to cross to Sweden or Norway. They just don't look good enough. We just don't have enough money to match the production quality of, for example, Swedish films. Because there's a bunch of Swedish films on Max or Netflix or Prime.
Yeah.
But
so it's just because of the budget, or the budget for production to make the film, or the budget to promote it?
Budget to make it.
Okay. And so the dream would be to make such a good movie with the lowest budget possible that you get it sold in the States or even in Bollywood, maybe, because I guess there's no need to.
I think if you manage to make like a cult movie that you can do with very low budget and still have a good visibility. You might never get it to Netflix, but you might get it on other streaming platforms and get money.
I've been watching these directors.
Yeah.
Most of them are black. I don't know why. Maybe that's what the algorithm gives me. But they are all selling their movies to Tubi. Have you heard about this platform? No. So they show commercials in the movie. So you choose where the commercial is going to happen. So they make films there, like most of them with black stories. So it's, oh my God, okay. This will continue. Yeah. We'll end though. Well, I will tell you anyways. So they make movies for this platform, and they make money with that way, because then it pays better than YouTube or something like that. So I was like, why don't I make a movie here in Finland? I put it in that platform just to see how it works, because their stories and the look of them, it looks like amateurish, but it's interesting for the audience. Most of them black people. It's like a soap opera with a slightly better production, like gangster films and all that.
And Prime works that way. You can get shit movies on Prime.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of them. So I think even one of my shit movies is on Prime that I put the lead on. But you have to buy it. I don't recommend buying.